It is time for Takes on Takes. You know the drill. You supply the takes. We give you a take on your take today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins.
Hello.
And your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Joseph, happy Victory Monday to all Philadelphia Eagles fans from last night's game, Monday Night Football. So technically Victory Sunday, but Victory Monday is kind of the deal, right? So you call it Victory Monday.
I don't know. I think it's technically Victory Tuesday.
Yes, but the concept is a Victory Monday that has then just been amended to a different day of the week. So,
okay.
You know, the same vibes.
Yeah.
Go Birds?
No.
Why not? You don't want to have to play the Eagles next week coming off a loss to the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. I understand that. Yes, I would agree. I was rooting for the Eagles to win that game. Yes.
Right. So go Birds.
Yeah, go Birds. But
I also was rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles, and not just because the show picked them against the spread last Thursday, and because both you and I picked them in Pick'em.
Because when the Dolphins beat the Jets on Friday, for a moment in time, the Dolphins will be the 1 seed in the AFC.
It'll be fast track back to last year when the Dolphins were 8-3 and momentarily the 1 seed in the AFC.
Oh, yes. Wow. Let's just repeat history. Let's do the whole thing again.
I prefer not to.
I
would very much prefer not to. You mean a eliminator game in Week 18 that you win at home? You'd like to do that instead?
No, not that part of history. Not that part. Man, wouldn't that be something? What was that? 56-20 or something? 56 to what was the score?
I was talking about last year when the Dolphins won 11-6 and beat the Jets.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the.
Nope.
Yeah.
I promise you, I was not referring to that one. 2020. Okay.
I thought you were like reversing history, right?
But no.
All right, let's get to the takes. It's getting bad here. Tony coming in with some heat. CJ Stroud should be the favorite for NFL MVP. What he has done with a below-average roster has been more impressive than any other player thus far this season. Kyle, let me give you the FanDuel odds right now.
I'm sure he's in the top 5. I know Jalen Hurts.
No, he's not at all. CJ Stroud's not
super
in the top
overreactive. Jalen Hurts is now the favorite because they won a game last night in which he had 150 passing yards.
Jalen Hurts is 1. Lamar Jackson is 2. Patrick Mahomes is 3. Tua is 4, Dak is 5, Brock Purdy is tied for 5th with same odds as Dak plus 1,500.
Who's the most surprising name in that group?
The most surprising?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not Jackson or Mahomes, not Hurts.
Dak. I mean, Dak has been on an absolute tear the last month.
No, I think the most surprising name might be Tua, just because statistically, I think he's been MVP caliber for a while now, but like the longevity, right? He's been healthy all year, and that's kind of taken him out of the conversation. And so maybe that's the element that's, I don't know. I hate to say it's the most surprising, but like, I think it's good that he's been able to stay healthy. That allows the production to sustain itself so he can have the volume to be in the race.
It's fair.
But the question here is CJ Stroud should be the favorite. I would disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think he should be the favorite.
Houston, you think he should be higher than one of these players?
Yes.
Who you bumping? Who bumps out of this top 6 to put him in? Probably Mahomes. What's so good about Mahomes? 18 touchdowns this year, like 11 turnovers.
Probably.
Like a legit, objectively like mediocre at best offense.
I'll tell you who the MVP is, Taylor Swift, because of how different Travis Kelce is when she's in the building.
I've never seen Taylor Swift catch a pass, make a block,
but I've seen what Travis Kelce looks like when Taylor Swift's in the building and not.
Is this the year that we talk about a non-quarterback like Myles Garrett, like Tyreek Hill? Like, is that a thing? Where are we willing to go there? I'm not. I'm not willing to go there. But
if there was ever a year for it to be the case in the modern iteration of the game, this feels like the year.
I think here's the most important layer of this entire conversation. It's always fun to talk about. The next 6-7 games is going to define it, right? Like, this could be flipped upside down in so many different ways. So, like, we have checkpoints, but the reality is this book will write itself over the final stretch here.
Right.
Philip with a comment and then a take. The comment is pretty funny. He said, for the Panthers, Levy Grail, you guys should just play live music the entire time.
I get it, because they never brought that to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that'll be a fun show. Philip does go on to say before Christmas. That's December 25th every year, Kyle. One of those holidays always the same day.
Not a math guy, but I knew that one.
February 14th is always Valentine's Day. New Year's Day is always the 1st. 4th of July is always the 4th. All right, I got to move on here. There will be 3 more coaches let go, and he names names: Brandon Staley, Frank Reich, Ron Rivera. And he says Rivera will never get another chance at back-to-back winning seasons. So by Christmas, do we see Staley, Reich, and Rivera all canned?
What's the point in firing Frank Reich in season? Like, you're already done.
Well, I guess this would be the case. Is you get a look at a Jairo Avero potentially as your interim, right? They have Deuce Staley, they have McCown, they have Thomas Brown. Like, they have candidates, right? Like, is that your chance to get a look at one of them for a little sample size?
Staley, I think, happens. Like, their margin for error is now 0.
They're not. They're not. It's not going to happen for the Chargers.
Right.
Rivera, sure, right? You give EB a little look, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that kind of the logical look there?
The most logical of setting up for like retaining an interim that you mentioned with like the Carolina stuff. Like, I think this is a much more logical iteration of that. I would fade the take, though.
Well, there's a path for all 3, but I think it's probably unlikely that we have 4 coaches fired by Christmas, especially when the season goes a little bit late this year, right? It's like week 18 is ended January.
I think the process was good, but we have too much dip on our chip.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully you have
Zach's
Mighty Tortilla chips. Yeah, they can handle it. Yeah.
As in Joe Marino, I know you appreciated that reference quite a bit. But.
Juggling Dave brings up something that I'm oddly passionate about. Yeah, ready for this?
Juggling?
I think people could be mad at me for what I'm about to say. Juggling Dave says there is no need for the broadcast to replay injuries multiple times and in slow motion. Once is enough. I want to go first here, Kyle. I disagree with this. And I know that there's nothing fun or satisfying about watching a player get injured, right? I'm not sitting here saying that, that's something that I take pleasure in. But as somebody who I like to call myself a student of the game, I study the league. I love this. I want to know what the mechanism of injury is and what leads to these things happening. Like, I'm very curious of that type of stuff. And it's not because I enjoy watching ACLs get shredded or Achilles pop. I want to see it. I want to know what happened. I want to see the mechanism of injury, and I want to learn about this type of stuff. So I'm good with that. I want to see it. And I know that might be controversial. I know that there's a lot of Twitter energy out there for don't show the replay. No, I want to see it because I want to learn and I want to know mechanism of injuries.
I also think you are not the typical fan. And probably if you were to gauge the typical fan and not, I work in the industry and I'm very, you somehow only managed to capture like 40% of your brother David's curiosity, but that still makes you like a top 10 most curious person that I've ever met.
Oh, my brother David's in another planet.
Correct. But you are also on the big board at the top of the first round.
You think I'm a curious person?
Yes, I do think you're a curious person. You just called yourself a curious person. So that combined with you're working in the space, I think probably doesn't make you an eye, because I generally am inclined to agree with you as far as like what was the angle of the tackle, where else could he have possibly challenged, how did he plant his foot, did he, what built up to this? Was this kind of unavoidable? We're not the typical fan, and I recognize that lens, but if you showed it to me twice or 3 times, I'd probably check the boxes that my curiosity would want to check as well. I don't need to see it 50 times, and I don't need to see everybody post it for impressions on social media. I think that part is
it's chasing impressions on social media. Yeah, not cool. Like not down with that. But I want to learn. All right, we got a bunch of fun stuff to get here, including some coaching takes that are really, really interesting. So stick with us. But look, maybe you want to go to a game down the stretch here. Go to Gametime. It is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They've got killer deals on last-minute tickets. They have all-in prices, so that's cool. You load up the app, it'll show you the price, and that's the price you'll pay. You don't see the price and then find out there's $8 million more in processing fees. They give you a view from your seat, which is cool. You know what you're getting into, and a best price guarantee. Simply put, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. The app is awesome, super easy to navigate, and they also send the tickets right to your phone, and you don't have to dig through emails to find them. So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This time of year can be challenging for some people, and it's natural to feel some sadness or even anxiety about it. But look, adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings, and therapy can be a bright spot for you amid all the stress and change, something you can look forward to make you feel grounded and give you the tools necessary to manage everything that is going on. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It even empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire. That'll get you matched with a licensed therapist. And then even at any point in time, if you need to switch therapists, you can do so for no additional charge. So find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn.
By the way, also happy Hard Knocks returns day to you.
Dolphins, Hard Knocks. Yep.
Yes. As far as they go, which I think is an interesting layer.
As far as they go. So all the way to February, right?
You better shut your mouth.
You know, I'm getting, brother.
I cannot reconcile the possibility that ever happened.
You know my tactic this year. I am leaning into it as hard as I possibly can. Why not? Why not us, Kyle? Why not us, right?
Please continue.
Ryan says, and look, these next two takes, you got to be careful because you might get twisted up. So be careful. I'll give you a little warning. Ryan says, take Ben Johnson. You heard of this guy, Detroit Lions offensive coordinator? Yep. And Justin Herbert have a chance to be the best quarterback and coach duo in the league behind Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
It would be very fun to see Justin Herbert and Ben Johnson together. Think about Jared Goff, what he does well. Think about Justin Herbert, their differences, what else that could potentially unlock as far as vertical passing game. Although I do think Jared, they don't necessarily have the consistent weapons to execute that at a super high level down the field with the down the field passing game. But I don't know.
It's intriguing, right? It's intriguing.
It's super intriguing, but yeah. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to get on a soapbox about like the state of play in the NFL or not defensively and what that facilitates for opposing quarterbacks. And I don't think I'm going to. Now's not the time. I have some thoughts on that. It's a good tease. I'll just say, give me the other take before I put my foot in my mouth.
Oh, that I have takes on that as well. So maybe we'll have to do that at some point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good to have Tua and or Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and yards after catch possibilities to counteract some of the way that these defenses are playing, right? You need speed and yards after catch. I think that's where you get your explosive plays. It's not just launching the ball down the field. So, okay, so you said that, and Drew would like to say this. Brandon Staley's replacement should be Bill Belichick or Brian Flores instead of an offensive-minded head coach. With Herbert being a pretty scheme-independent quarterback, it's a must to improve the defense if they want to be an AFC contender.
So whichever one of those two candidates can secure Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator, okay. But here's the problem. Boys off the same coaching tree, and Josh McDaniels is the only branch on the offensive side of the ball for 20 years. They don't got a little black book. I don't know. Brian made a stop in Pittsburgh last year, so maybe he could hire Matt Canada now that he's out there on the free agent market.
Come on now.
To be his offensive coordinator. Dude, I watched Brian Flores sit there and scrap together Charlie Fry, Eric Studesville, and George Gotze as play callers in a season. All three of them at one point called.
Yeah, it's going to be critical. If Flores gets another chance, he's got to nail the OC hire, and he's got to come into that interview saying, this is the guy that I have ready to do it.
So, yeah, I'm generally fading that right now because his exposures were Pittsburgh last year, and now he's in Minnesota, which they're doing a nice job. But Kevin O'Connell, you're not bringing Kevin O'Connell with you.
Do this. Look at it like this. Let's detach ourselves from Belichick and Flores and all of that. I think the spirit of what he's trying to communicate is that Justin Herbert is not a scheme-dependent quarterback, and that they have to fix the defense. And so the spirit of what they're trying to say here is they should hire a defensive-minded coach. I was told that that's the stupidest thing you can do in this era of football, and that if you want to have sustained quarterback play, you have to have an offensive play caller as your head coach.
Well, it depends on how much you think Justin Herbert actually is a scheme-transcendent quarterback or not. Do you believe that to be true?
Yeah.
Then you should probably be okay with the idea of it. It's the same.
I generally am.
Why it's worked in Buffalo with Josh Allen, right?
Has it?
Generally speaking,
right? I just want the same.
Has it? Where
same energy? I want the same energy for DeMeco Ryans. I want the same energy for Jonathan Gannon. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't think there's congruency in the way people look at this.
I agree, and we'll see with CJ Stroud, but Jonathan Gannon. Kyler Murray's not on that plane. We'll see what CJ Stroud becomes.
Do you think back to this Chargers coaching search? And we remember it was a shoe-in that it was going to be Brian Daboll, and because Telesco and Daboll were local friends or whatever, and this was the way it was going to be. And then they hired Staley. Was that a crossroads decision, a huge moment in the trajectory of the Chargers? Would it be different if they had Daboll?
That's a wormhole I'm not mentally prepared to go down.
Daboll and Wink, right? That's your situation instead of Brandon Staley and the adventure.
I could play with that personnel would be exponentially better off playing with Wink. If they made all the same personnel decisions,
100,000,000%.
Play with Wink.
I would say the offense would be better with Daboll as opposed to
if you won every game and lost every game the same for probably the first 2 years that they were there.
Yeah.
Just to account for how big the web is woven outside of that for all the things that change if your record's different and how you spend and what's your position in draft and so on and so forth. Yeah. If you took Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale and put them on this year's and last year's Chargers rosters, they'd be exponentially better.
Here's another one along the same lines from Michael. At least one of the following will get a second chance to be a head coach this offseason. Brian Flores, Dan Quinn, Vic Fangio. One of those three head coaches in 2024.
I'll say yes.
More than one?
I still think it's too soon for Brian. I still think he's still too soon removed from the era in Miami. Dan's been knocking on the door for a bit now. Right. I think Dan's the one that's a shoe-in.
I would agree. Yeah.
And I don't know, how old's Vic?
Pretty old. He's getting paid a mint to be the
He's
DC.
the highest paid defensive coordinator in football.
Yeah, I might just chill down there, right?
with the collection of talent that they have as well.
You would think. Head coaching jobs are rare. He might want to. You can see him wanting to have another shot at it. We'll see. I think one of them. The question was, will one? I think one will.
Yes, I agree.
Here's a fascinating one from Corey that I kind of like. He says each NFL team should play 8 home games, 8 away games, and 1 neutral site game at either an international site or a college stadium in between the two teams. It will help states and cities with no NFL teams see their favorite NFL team. I kind of dig it. I think it's a little unfair that you have situations, not only one side of the league, AFC, NFC, has a disproportionate amount of home games, right? 9 versus 8. But then when you have 9, it's often stripped away from you to go play somewhere else, right? The Chiefs lost a home game this year. The Bills lost a home game this year. I'm sure the Bills would have loved to play Jacksonville in Orchard Park as opposed to London, right? I think that's not cool. And so I don't know that I love it being between two cities. Just put it somewhere in America. Like, let's play Bills and Jaguars in Nebraska. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, they would never get that opportunity. So I agree. I like the idea of 8-1.
I think it's probably a more equitable solution than what the current solution is, where like AFC gets the extra home game this year, right?
Yep, unless you're the Bills or the Chiefs.
So, as an example, Miami had 9 home games, 6 true road games, and a neutral site game, or 7, 9, 7, and 1. So they had 2 extra true home games than they had true road games this year.
I think this is good. Do you like the idea of like the just random cities type thing? You know?
No.
Don't you think? I mean, Nebraska or like, I keep going Nebraska.
You want to send an NFL
Iowa
into Iowa?
Yeah, man. Let's
like
go.
Kinnick Stadium.
Sure. I'm for it, man. I'm for like cities that aren't LA and Chicago and Dallas and New York and those markets getting all the stuff. Yeah, I'm for it. So fly over states, baby. All right, we got more fun stuff to get to here in just a moment. But look, score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So you've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a ton of different things that you can bet on, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I actually won this week on my player prop. I only had one this week, but it was taking the under on Zach Wilson passing yards. They had it at 206.5. I smashed the under. I think he had like 90 passing yards, so that worked out. So maybe you can find Tim Boyle's line and smash the under this week for the Friday game. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and enjoy this NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
More takes.
We
demand more takes.
Bub says this. Thanksgiving football is the only time games should be played on a holiday, and a shout out to all the Draft Dudes listeners who will be arguing with their uncle this holiday season. You know about that, man.
Yeah.
You know, they know you're the football guy. They try to talk about it with you, and it's like the last thing you want to do is discuss it with their casual takes.
I don't want to say anything incriminating about my experiences with that.
Are they listening, Kyle?
They might be. Somebody
no
might
chance.
be.
There's
Somebody
no chance
might
any
be
of my people
on Thursday. On Thursday, you know, they're gonna come up.
Oh, they're all prepped, wanted to have the chats with you. They listen to your
I've been
podcast
waiting all season. Get you alone for 30 minutes at the kitchen table and grill you on this, that, and the other thing. And then you give your perspective, and then they vehemently disagree with you, and they want to tell you why.
Yeah, it's like I don't want it. I don't want it.
Right. No, thank you.
I don't want this.
No, thank you. Let's just watch the game.
What about? I mean, should we be watching football on holidays that aren't Thanksgiving? You like the Christmas stuff they've been doing? Christmas Eve?
No, I don't like the Christmas stuff. I think New Year's Eve and New Year's Day is fine. Does this include college football, or is this just NFL?
He says games. Thanksgiving football is the only time games should be played on a holiday. Generally speaking, I don't like complicating holidays with football. Like, imagine that through our what's that?
Labor Day.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, I think for us, right? Like, holidays are generally looked at as days off for people, right? Well, taking a universal day.
So the weekends.
Right. So it's just a different world that we live in. I am not complaining, but don't take it's just a different ball game, right? Like, I've had to deal with the Bills on Thanksgiving 3 of the last 4 years. Do you know how complicating that was for my like family traditions on those days? It's like I got a Bills game and I got 3 hours of post game to do. Like, that's a work day.
And then put yourself into the shoes of the players.
Horrible.
Like, they don't have Thanksgiving with their families unless you're home, and then you do it after the game. What if you play the night game? It sounds like Miami, from a travel perspective with New York, isn't going to do Thanksgiving with their families, and they're playing on Black Friday.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Thanksgiving will be on Saturday.
Amazon,
but it doesn't hit the same, right? It doesn't hit the same.
Correct. It does not.
User bunch of numbers. Sorry, were you done there?
I'm done.
Use your bunch of numbers. Jets will be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers will not play in 2023. I would like to take this one. Yes, I think this is 100% true, and I think this entire thing from Aaron Rodgers has been a setup that he's going to be able to defy the odds, right? Come back from the Achilles injury, only for the Jets to not be possible for them to make the playoffs and him say, I would have played, but the season was over, right? I think that's the whole game plan here for Aaron Rodgers. He was never going to play.
Is that why they didn't add another quarterback? Like you could have got Josh Jacobs for nothing from Arizona.
I can't answer that question. I think that's a really fair thing. Like even like the Joe Flacco deal, right? He's in Cleveland. Right. He was there, right? Like I think there's something to that, but yes, I do think it all goes together. I do. Yes. Make sure that you don't get good enough to get in.
They mentioned like what, week 16, week 17, kind of like the ballpark for him.
There's no chance, dude. They're not going to be in it.
So here's the next. We'll just do the next 4, just real quick. They're home against Miami on Friday on a short week.
No chance.
Joe, you always, when we do pick home on a short week.
Spoiler alert for tomorrow when we're doing the picks. I'm picking the Dolphins.
Then they have extra rest, home against the Falcons.
Probably not, but I think there's a chance.
I think they can win that game. Yeah. Home against the Texans.
I was just told CJ Stroud's the league MVP.
Not by me.
Winnable game, Kyle. They lost to the Panthers. I will never forget that in this Texans conversation.
But you'd be inclined to pick the Texans.
Yeah.
And then they're at Miami. Week 15.
At best, they go 2-2. At very best, they go 2-2.
So that would put them at 5-9, in which case, yes, you're going to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs in this.
If they go 2-2, they're 5-9. So if they go 3-1,
no. If they go 2-2, they're 6-8.
They're still not going. They still don't have a chance. They gotta go like 4-0. Ain't happen. Dolphins ain't gonna let that happen. Ian down by the river. I hope that you can speak to this.
Down by the river.
Listen, I have no idea about this one, so this one's gonna be on you. Draft Dad's take. Tiny Chef is the same tier as Bluey. Wholesome and funny content for kids that teaches valuable lessons, and even parents find the show enjoyable. Tiny Chef, have you seen this? I never even heard of the Tiny Chef.
Tiny Chef.
I guess are we both going to Google this right now?
Tiny Chef Show. From his humble garden. This is from the Tiny Chef Show website, thetinychefshow.com.
Oh, this guy looks weird. What is this?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. From his humble garden tree stump, an herbivore named Tiny Chef creates the world's tiniest dishes for the world's tiniest cooking show. He believes that children should learn how to cook and is hopeful that kids watch his cooking program. There's never a dull moment with Chef, as his spirit, charm, and cleverness help him deal with the unpredictable nature of life in a tiny kitchen. More than anything, Tiny Chef is always truly himself. This is not paid advertising, by the way, as he finds ingenious ways to work tiny. Nicknames: The Chef, Chefy, TC, Chef, and Chefino. His birthday is August 15th. He's 8 inches tall. He believes it's wholly inappropriate to ask anyone what their weight is, and his hobbies include playing endless games of Uno and playing his tiny banjo.
What is this creature, though?
Rachel Larson, the creator.
I don't know what this thing is.
I'm going to have to try it. Just once.
We'll give it a spin. I want to know what this creature is.
One of the 4 guys on the tiny team is a guy who looks like he's at Home Depot with Tiny Chef and he's eating a burrito.
Kyle, why haven't we come up with this? What is our problem that we haven't come up with the next big kids program?
They have a call to action with their frequently asked questions page. It says, "Do you have tiny questions?" But "do you" is spelled DEW space YEW. Do you have any questions? I have to try it. I have no idea. What's happening.
Last one here from Mountain Pokes. The last great moment for the Patriots since Brady left was when they showed Bill's dog sitting in the chair behind a computer like he was making draft picks during the 2020 draft. Even non-Patriot fans loved that moment.
Genuine question. What is the greatest moment of the last 3 years of New England Patriots football?
I particularly enjoyed their playoff appearance, where the Bills scored a touchdown on every single offensive drive. That was definitely my favorite.
From a New England Patriots fan perspective, The greatest moment of the last 3 years of New England Patriots football since 2020, when the Cam Newton year.
I think it was beating the Bills in Buffalo in the Hurricane game.
The Wind Bowl.
14-3, I think, was the score, and they it's the greatest offensive game plan in the history of the NFL. I think that was probably it. Hey, pour one out though. I mean, who's got the dog? Right, Belichick broke up with his girlfriend. Who kept the dog?
I hope Bo got it.
I don't know.
He's adorable. I'd want him around all the time if I were.
Because the dog's name is Nike, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like no. Nike went with his girlfriend. Yeah.
What happened to
I just typed in Bill
Nike?
Belichick girlfriend dog. Yeah, and this is a People magazine article. It's talking about how frequently his ex-girlfriend Linda posts pictures of the dog on their Instagram, on her Instagram.
So game over for Bill and Nike.
Man, my guy's down bad. You hate to see it.
I hope he watches some Tiny Chef to keep himself warm at night.
Anyone can cook.
That's going to do it for us here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. Takes on Takes in the books. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He's Joe Marino. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We are back tomorrow to preview Week 12 of the 2023 NFL season, so plan accordingly. We will see you then. Peace.